Chapter 27. Right. When I woke up the next morning, I was the last to wake up. My parents were running the fireplace in Robbinsog because it was the coldest day of 2017. Ever since 2017 had colder months again, my whole family was gathered near it. "What's up?" I asked. "It's freezing outside," said my dad. "I know that," I said. What do you want to do today on this rainy Saturday?" asked my dad. "Something indoors," my mom added. I'm up for a lazy day," Dr. Morcassi said. I would rather not want to put my cloak on," said George. "Why?" my mom asked George. "Because I just want a day off from wearing it," George said. "I see," said our mom. "Oh, okay, I'm going to go up to the hot tub to warm up," I said. I'm coming up too. Nothing like a candy cigar in the hot tub in the morning," said Dr. Marcassius. George and us are coming up too this time," said my mom. "Fine," I said. We then went to the hot tub to warm up. After we got in, a conversation began. "So, Marcus and Sam, I know you were working on a project, and yesterday you finished it. How did that go?" Or mom asked. I was answering because I didn't know how to answer before Dr. Morcassius bumped me in the back. "Fine," said Dr. Morcassius, which was the truth without giving away the truth about what he was talking about. I was coughing now because of how hard that bump was, and I choked on my own spit. "Marcus, don't do that to your Marcus, don't do that to your brother again." No, it's fine. I just inhaled a little bit of the chlorine in here," I lied. "Yeah, I doubt that because none of us were coughing from the chlorine," said my dad. Dr. Morcassius grabbed my hand tightly because I was able to tell that he and I were about to give up our secret. "Please apologize to your brother," said my dad to Dr. Morcassius. "Sorry," said Dr. Morcassius. "It's fine," I said. "I do have to work on my impact control," said Dr. Morcassius. "Impact control? What's that?" George asked. "How hard I touch something," said Dr. Morcassius. You have multiple things to work on," said our mom. "I know that," said Dr. Morcassius. "Like determining what is a secret you can and can't keep, because that causes people to wet their pants in the hallway," said our mom. It didn't take Dr. Morcassius 3 seconds for him to leave the hot tub and the pool room, because that's how offended he was. George, I could tell, was not happy, but he just sat there. My parents looked like they didn't give a shit. I sided with George the most because I was upset, but I didn't move. Can we ask you an honest question, because we have the right to know?" asked our mother. Yeah, we both answered. "What have you been thinking about Marcus ever since he became quote-unquote Dr. Morcassius?" our mom asked. Mom, I was against it from the start. I should have told you when he told us about transitioning into his new persona, but you would be furious if I had told you something," I answered. "I'm still trying to get across the fact that Marcus and Dr. Morcassius are two different people. Because I always thought that Marcus and Dr. Morcassius are very different, despite being the same," said George. "Valerie, what Sam said my dad to my mom. I personally feel his behavior has gotten a lot worse since he became Dr. Morcassius," I said. "Well, that's obvious," said my mom. "Also, we have brought up before, but he has become a lot more secretive, said my dad to my mom. So have you two, said my mom, pointing out to me. Now George moved in the hot tub closer to me because he was getting scared that we are going to lose our cover. You see, when you move like that, that gives away the fact that something is up, said my dad in a firm tone. George was now crawling out of the hot tub. George, are you leaving now too? No, said George. Then what are you gonna do? My mom asked. This, George answered. George then cannonballed into the hot tub. My mom and dad were just sitting there. My mom and dad were just sitting there, were drenched now. We waited for the water to settle down. And my parents were furious. My dad then grabbed George. What have we discussed about jumping in the hot tub when other people are in it? My dad asked. Not to do it, because it gets other people wet when they may not want to be wet like that, and some people are close to other people that could get hurt. George said with no remorse. You hurt your mother's feet because you landed on them, said my dad. Now I could see George was upset because he hurt my mom, and my mom is his favorite thing in the world. Sam, walk him down to his room in Robbinsog, ordered my dad. Can I come back up here once I drop him off? I asked. Yes, of course, said Dad. I then took George down to Robbinsog when I entered the room to drop him off. Dr. Morcassius was in there. George is joining you, I said. No, not for long, because I am going to Hannah's now, said Dr. Morcassius. I'm going back up to the pool now, I said. We then walked to the elevator, and then we dialed the elevator. I am sorry if you were offended, I said. It is fine. I'm about to be down $300 when it was George's fault, said Dr. Morcassius. I know. I know the only restrooms in the building, or in the apartments, but he should have gone at the school or at the library about 30 feet across the street. I'll talk it over with Mom and Dad when I get back up to the pool. Thanks. When the elevator arrived, it was going down, meaning it was Dr. Morcassius' turn to get on, not mine. Bye, Dr. Morcassius. Have a nice time with Hannah, I said. Bye, Sam, said Dr. Morcassius. The elevator doors then shut, and shut the red-cloaked figure with the umbrella. It was about 2 minutes before the elevator returned for me to go back up, and I rode to the top floor, and the pool, and the hot tub, and my parents were the only ones in the room still. Dr. Morcassius left to go be with Hannah, I said as I was getting back into the hot tub. Who left to go be with who? My dad asked. Oh, Marcus left to be with Hannah. George is right now the only one in Robbinsog, I corrected. Okay, he was probably too upset to do anything bad at the moment for us sending him to his room. We're not going to worry about it. If he calms down, he can come back up here, said my mom. Can I ask you guys to do me a favor? I asked my parents. What is it? My dad asked. Have you paid the cleaning bill yet? I asked. No, we didn't pay it, said my dad. Marcus did. Marcus did. We took the money out of his bank account after you left Dad yesterday on your walk, said my mom. Please don't make him pay it, because it wasn't entirely his fault, because George because George would have gone at school or at the library across the street, just like how I know you would have, I said. Name an alternative. He is not getting off scot-free, said my mom. Discipline like this is how your mother and I became doctors, said my dad. Okay, the bill was a $300 fine, I asked. Yes, my mom answered. Dr. Morcassius pays $100 because it was his project. I pay $100 because I'm his accomplice. George pays $100 because he should have gone at school, I said. You know what? I think he is right. We did an error based on who was who, said my dad to my mom. Deal, said my mom. Thanks, I said. We will explain to Marcus and George what happened, said my dad. Now, I have a favor to ask you, said my mom. Sure, Mom, what is it? I asked. Can you please go to the pool now and leave the hot tub so I can make out and cuddle your father alone? My mom asked, moving closer to my dad and wrapping her arms around him, with her voice getting a little bit higher and smiling at the end, because that is how she is when she makes out with my dad. Sure, I said. I then went to the pool and began to swim laps. I was at 10 before my mom told me that she and my dad were going back to Robbinsog, which was also when I felt like returning to Robbinsog, because I was wet enough. Now I am more warm enough, said my dad as we were boarding the elevator to head back down to the 7th floor where Robbinsog is. We then dialed the 7th floor. Oh, Mom, I never asked. How are your feet doing after George landed on them? I asked my mom out of love and concern. Fine. The hot water neutralized most of the pain. They still hurt like a 2 out of 10, said my mom. The elevator pulled into the 7th floor and then we zigzagged across the hall to Robbinsog. I'll go check on George, I said when we entered. When I entered, George was sitting on his bed doing nothing. Hi, George, I said without bringing out the remarks about what happened in the hot tub. Don't talk to me, said George. Okay, I said. I then changed into my regular clothes and turned on the fireplace and turned on the television to watch some Mickey Mouse, and then my mom came out of her room. What would you like for lunch? My mom asked. I don't know, I answered. Would you like something small for lunch and more extreme? Would you like something small for lunch and more extreme for dinner? Always. I'll make a pot of soup to keep us warm for lunch today, and I will make something fancy for dinner. My dad then walked out of his room and then he began talking to me.